This your boy Fred the Corp. I know we got the Trayvon Martin situation going on, but I came across this interview tonight and I was watching it and I just found this to be the most hilarious thing. Nothing against Trayvon Martin. Rest in peace, but this is just ridiculous. These two guys, like, they go at it. It's like a juggernaut heavyweight match of journalists. Funniest thing ever. Here we go.
Trayvon Martin case has split America with emotions running high. Interviewed George Zimmerman's brother Robert last night. My next guest has been very vocal about that interview on Twitter and on other airways. Joining me now is pop culture commentator Torre. Torre, you seem very exercised about my interview with Robert Zimmerman. Tell me why.
Let me explain to you a little bit of what's at stake here. This is a major moment in American history, and America's reaching a bit of a boiling point in terms of dealing with this issue. And when we allow misinformation and obfuscation and people to be confused about the truth about what's going on, then we become part of the problem and not part of seeking a solution. And you became part of the problem by allowing Robert Zimmerman to come on your show and spread misinformation and perhaps prevarication throughout the waves, which we know many people will believe. I mean, the number one problem with having him on the air is the two of them, George and Robert, haven't spoken in years. And that comes from George Zimmerman's attorney. You know, at NBC in the hallways, we were laughing at you today. We wouldn't take him. Standards and practices at NBC wouldn't even let him get through the door. And you had him on the air and allowed the hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands or whatever number of people watch your show listen to what he had to say. And you weren't really challenging him the way that you needed to, the way that we needed you to, the way that other more responsible journalists are doing.
We spoke to Joe Oliver, the family advisor, about an hour ago. He rang George and Robert Zimmerman's father, who has confirmed there is no estrangement. They all talk regularly. So the
Joe Oliver is a major problematic source in all of this. He's functioning as a major source of obfuscation. So we can't even listen to what he's talking about.
With respect, Torre, you've had your say. Let me just have mine. You are incorrect about the estrangement. You shouldn't believe everything you're being told. You've been very vocal. You tried to portray me as an unprofessional journalist who last night didn't challenge Robert Zimmerman. Anybody with a dispassionate mind who watched that interview saw me challenge him repeatedly throughout the 20 or so minutes that we conducted that interview. Let's play a clip and show you what I mean. How do you explain, as a family, the video that came out last night with your brother within not much time after this incident, walking around unaided, perfectly okay, with no apparent markings to his face? I mean, if you get a broken nose or the kind of head injury sustainable from having your head smashed on a concrete floor, you're going to have blood everywhere. You're going to have visible injuries. There is nothing. I mean, we're looking at the images now. There's no visible sign of any attack. How do you explain that?
We're confident the medical records are going to explain all of George's medical history.
Now, unless I'm mistaken, Torre, that is a clear challenge by me about the veracity of what he's telling me. So what are you talking about?
Well, what did Robert Zimmerman say in response to that? And what did you say in response to his response? I heard you tried. I appreciate that you are among those of us who agree that George Zimmerman said coon on the tape. I saw you try to push him on that issue. He obfuscated and allowed those who want to believe that he didn't say coon, which is rather clear to many of us. You allowed him to sort of prevaricate and say, well, maybe it wasn't, and maybe it's a different word, and you allow him to talk about he's the most honest brother. How would that even be quantified? And why is that not challenged? You allowed him to say he was going to Target and not Neighborhood Watch. What are you talking about?
Yes, Torre, calm down. I don't want to give you a lesson in how to be a professional journalist.
Well, you couldn't do that.
If you let me finish. If you watch the interview back, you will see that I challenge him repeatedly about that particular choice of words that his brother used under his breath, repeatedly, as any professional journalist would do. What is the next part of the interview where you say I didn't challenge him? Remind me.
Well, I've already said several that you allow him to say he's the most honest brother.
Remind me of some where I did. Remind me of some moments in the interview where I didn't challenge him? Because
When
you've
you
been very
talk about
vocal all day
that
about
he said
this.
that he was going to Target and not on the neighborhood watch. I think we pretty much established that he was on the neighborhood watch and not going to Target with his gun.
Tell me, what do you think factually happened, Torre? Because you seem to be abreast of many more facets of information than anybody else at the moment. So what do you think happened?
I'm not abreast of any more facets of information than anybody else at MSNBC. We all share the information that is coming into us from multiple sources, so we're all
MSNBC has
anybody
MSNBC, as has NBC, have all been running clips from my interview without challenging the veracity of the testimony, and nor are they quibbling with the news value of the brother of George Zimmerman going on the record for the first time and giving his version of events. At no stage did I say I agreed.
Boy, this is getting heated.
Wait a minute. At no stage did I give any sense that I agreed with what he was saying. I challenged him repeatedly about many of the things that he was saying.
You understand as challenging, perhaps maybe that goes in England. That's not what we do in terms of challenging in America. I saw a person who was saying things that didn't ring true to me. And I would have liked to seen him pushed and challenged, more follow-up, more pushback, more research to understand what you're saying does not ring true, sir. And I don't really believe what you're talking about.
Which part of this story do you think I'm not really aware of and not well researched? Or given I've been covering it for a week now, I've interviewed Trayvon's parents.
A whole week?
I've interviewed George Zimmerman's brother. I've been running this for a week, and I'm very interested to know which part of the story you don't think that I am fully aware of the facts about.
Well, I mean,
explain to me.
The story that Robert Zimmerman wants to tell about this beating cannot possibly be true. So yes, you're pushing back a little bit, just a tiny little bit. But when we look at this videotape where he's walking through the Sanford Police Department, it's impossible that his story is true. So at that point, we can't give him a light pushback. We have to give him a much tougher follow-up than that. Because his story
Torre, you see, that unfortunately is where you are revealing yourself to not be a professional journalist. Because actually from that video, you cannot see for a 100% fact that he has or hasn't broken his nose.
The brother said very clearly.
Wait a minute. Allow me to finish.
Allow me
to finish.
Had a bloody nose in the last 30 minutes. That's quite clear.
Allow me to finish. We do not know if it was cleared up. We don't know this information yet. We also know,
it can't
thanks
be
to the
cleared
interview
up
with his brother.
Allow
me to finish a sentence, Torre. I also got Robert Zimmerman to say categorically that the medical records will substantiate the broken nose. That is a very revealing piece of information. I look forward to seeing that. If they do, exactly. But at least we now know that the family believe the medical records will confirm their story. At no stage in that interview did I say I believed a word of what he was saying. I'll take a short break now. More of my interview with Torre when we come back.
Wow, let me fast forward this for y'all.
Robert, George, and the father, and the attorney, that there are not consistent stories being told. So we're not getting a consistent story that we can wrap our heads around. I mean, we have not heard before that he was actually going to Target instead of on the neighborhood watch. He's sort of reading some of the story from the Orlando Sentinel and making some of the other story up. And I don't understand why it's not clearer to you why this is a witness who needs to be treated a little more hostily and pushed back a little bit more, and why other people are not rushing to have him on their airwaves because he doesn't know George Zimmerman that well and they haven't spoken about this, which also Joe Oliver, who you quote, has admitted he's not spoken to George Zimmerman about this. So how is he telling us things that may or may not have happened that evening when he too has not spoken? These individuals are not spreading a consistent story. They're spreading misinformation, and this is not helping America at an incredibly difficult moment.
Yeah, if I could just point out two things. One, Brian Williams, I think you're aware of him. He's the face of NBC News. Through his Rock Center show, they are trying to get Robert Zimmerman on the show. Are you aware of that?
That's not the information that I had 30 minutes ago.
Okay. Maybe news has taken over for you. Secondly, you tweeted this. This was on the 19th of March.
Here we go.
you're Zimmermanning me equals you're killing me. That's a pretty serious, responsible piece of journalism, isn't it, Torre?
In the first days and the first weeks of the situation, what many people were doing, what I was trying to do in that, was to pile on and to say, hey, look, this guy is not doing the right thing. This guy has harmed somebody in our community. Some people misconstrued that, and I'm sorry about that. But this is an incredibly serious situation, and I understand.
It's so serious that you felt the need to do stupid.
Well, again, you're showing that you don't really understand America, because what I was trying to do there.
No, I understand America very well.
What I was trying to do there is something that we might call the blues, we might call black humor, not African American humor, but black humor, dark humor. These are things that are common in America, that sort of bluesy laugh to keep from crying. Because once again, another black person who is unarmed and innocent and not doing anything wrong has been killed. And this is incredibly painful and goes back before you were born and before your father was born and before my grandfather was born. So these are things that hurt as an American very deeply, and you are too new to this situation to fully understand what's really going on here and what's really at stake for America.
What a load of fatuous nonsense you speak, Torre, don't you? You think you have the only right to speak about what's serious in America? You think that I don't have the right, as somebody from Britain who spent the last 6-7 years here, to address a story like this with the seriousness it deserves? With the responsibility. Yeah.
You have the right.
I have as much right as you do
that you
to have a comment on this.
Understand what's going on here.
What don't I understand?
Allows you to speak about our most difficult and
what don't I understand?
Please.
What don't I understand?
You are showing clearly you don't understand the depth of the pain in the American soul that is at play in this situation.
What a load of nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
Damn.
You clearly don't watch my show. You don't have to. No one's forcing you to. If you had watched my show, you'd have seen exactly the seriousness and responsibility that I brought to our coverage in the last week. Robert Zimmerman gave some fascinating new information.
I'm not saying you take this case lightly, but there are notes, subtleties, nuances. There is a depth of history within this that you can't possibly understand.
Do you believe that George Zimmerman murdered Trayvon Martin?
Yes.
So you've already tried him? You've convicted him?
Well,
you found him guilty of murder?
You asked me what I think.
And you call me an irresponsible journalist?
I hear
really?
911
that is professional? Professional journalism means that you have just...
Right? When I
really,
hear
but you think you know enough about this,
in which George Zimmerman is clearly showing repeatedly racist bias against a person who he does not know and has never seen before, and is pouring all these sort of stereotypes into this person. That's even before we get to Coon. They always get away, which is ridiculous because the jails are filled with millions of black men. But he thinks they always get away. He's up to no good. He's got his hands in his pants. He's on drugs. It's a 17-year-old boy walking down the street talking to his girl on the phone. None of those things are true. But he's already said all those things. And then we have the other 911 call, which I imagine will probably be extraordinarily damaging if we ever get to a court of law, where we hear someone screaming, which clearly sounds like a young boy and not a 200-something pound, 28-year-old man with a gun. A person, however, is screaming, there's a gunshot, and there's no more screaming. That sounds to me pretty damning, and it reminds me of the face of Emmett Till bashed in the coffin, where we see here's evidence of a black body being destroyed wrongfully, innocently.
I want y'all to hear the end of this.
That is your prerogative. I don't challenge you. I simply say that as a fact. You also think it's okay to do stupid, dumb jokes, mocking, what did you call it? Zimmermanning me? You're killing me? So we are different people. I like to think that I'm a professional journalist, Torre. I think that you are something else. But I appreciate you joining me tonight.
Holy shit.
Coming up, America's epidemic of bullying.
Oh, man. This your boy Fred the Court, man. That was some funny shit. I mean, those two fucking went at it crazy. Alright, man. Don't forget to subscribe to your boy. Leave comments. Peace.